Hi, Nicole. I'm going to read through your open letter draft and give you some feedback. Okay, so let's see here. Open letter to the Dean of Health and Science. Dear Dr. Venkat Sharma. It might be nice to say like Dear Dr. Venkat Sharma, rather than have it here. Dear Dr. Venkat Sharma, comma, Dean of Health and Science. It'll be a little clearer to the reader since those two things go together. While some may not be aware, factory farms have had a terrible track record of rampant excessive harm towards food animals here in America. Okay? These animals suffer unethical practices of many sorts and often through the hands of the handlers themselves. Sorry about that. I had to adjust my monitor if you heard that. The risks of factory farming are enormous and apply not only towards the animals, but also to the general public as well. Our university, William Patterson University, is a diverse school housing thousands of students. Our dining hall menu offers many meals for both the residents and commuters of the school, containing either beef, chicken, turkey, or pork. A majority of these animals most likely from factory farms. William Patterson should make it a priority to receive their meat from ethical companies or farms. By not ensuring animal welfare, there could be implications of indirectly supporting abusive and unethical behaviors. Very strong introduction, Nicole. I think you do a good job of establishing the general problem here. I think you do a good job of identifying how our university is implicated. I would probably make that 2 separate paragraphs. And I would recommend starting above this with another paragraph, 1 or 2 short paragraphs that offer an anecdote, like an individual representative example about factory farming and its dangers. This is a topic where there are incredibly powerful descriptions that you can offer to really shock, appall, and encourage change on this topic. So I would kind of push for a little bit more visceral detail. You want to hook them with the pathos, and then go into the general description. Also, I would go back through this and look for ways that you can make it more specific. These animals suffer unethical practices of many sorts. That could be anything from literally disemboweling them with a fishing hook to putting lipstick on them. Like you know what I mean? When you don't give examples, when you don't clarify, that lets the reader run with their own perspective, their own imagination, and that could be very good for you because the person may already be on your side. But if your goal is to persuade a skeptical reader, specifics are going to be key. Apply that throughout the whole project. Anytime you say something overly general, try to give specifics or examples, even in the intro. Just saying these animals suffer unethical practices of many sorts, comma, including, and just list them, right? Often, sadly, these practices often occur at the hands of their handlers themselves or something like that. Very good overall introduction. I think that your discussion of how the university is implicated is also very good. In 2012, Smithfield Foods, the world's largest pork producer, was revealed to treat their pigs with very little care. I think that's an understatement. Like, very little care, like that could mean like, oh, they only gave them hugs twice a week. You know what I mean? Like, I think that what you describe and what you believe is that these animals are treated with an appalling, disgusting lack of humanity, right? Like, so maybe they revealed that they treat their pigs in powerfully or excessively inhumane ways. I think you want to be a little more aggressive here. Footage of such actions were secretly filmed and published for the public eye to see. This video showed barbaric workers blatantly not caring and tossing piglets like rag dolls. Make sure that you kind of give a little bit of citational information here. You do not seem to cite the video, which you do. Just because it's a video and not a written text, you still need to cite it. It's still a source of information. Make sure that you cite the video in your reference list, and make sure that you reference the video early on, right? So like footage of such actions, footage of these actions was filmed, or these actions were filmed or were secretly filmed by, and then give me the whoever was responsible for it, which will correspond to the item in your reference list. Throughout this video, it is evident that the life of a female pig is truly a sad one. When sows, female pigs, are pregnant, they are crammed into cages about 6 by 2 feet. They spend practically their entire lives stuck between metal bars, not those, because I don't know what, you haven't mentioned the bars yet, between metal bars, awaiting food and water. They are barely able to move and suffer bodily harm from this lack of movement. Within a factory farm, there could be thousands of sows lined up next to each other, meaning thousands of animals to feed and thousands producing waste. Further, the air in pig factory farms is laden with dust, dander, and noxious gases, which are produced as a pig's urine and feces build up inside the warehouse. These problems cause respiratory difficulties and spread infectious diseases among the pigs. Good, strong quote. Also, just to point out, notice how there's a great balance here between your own overall description and paraphrase and the quote itself. The sheer number and amount of waste is in no way healthy to either the animals or us, the consumers. Good. I would say this sheer amount of waste, it is an amount. Waste is an amount, not a number. You can't have 7 waste, so it has to be an amount. That's how you can tell the difference between an amount and a number. A number is a thing that you can count. So the sheer number of students, because if you had 4 students in the room, you could say, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you had waste or water or oil, you can't have 7 water. You can have gallons, but now you're not counting water, you're counting gallons. So this sheer amount of waste is in no way healthy to either the animals or to us, the consumers. In 2015, Foster Farms, the United States West Coast poultry company, was caught on camera completely disrespecting the well-being of again, not these chickens. There are no these because you haven't talked about chickens yet. Their chickens, or chickens on the farm. Employees were seen slamming chickens on the conveyor belt, throwing boxes of chicks on the ground, and dead chickens were accounted to be scattered on the ground of their facility. Not sure what that means. Just a little clarification in the wording there. The chickens' housing consisted of windowless sheds with thousands of chickens crammed inside. Unsanitary conditions of large factory farms can be dangerous to those who buy from them. 2013, at least 2 salmonella outbreaks were traced to Foster Farms brand chicken. Good. I actually would make this a separate paragraph, and I think that's important because it's not the first time you've mentioned it. I see why this feels like one paragraph, because it's about Foster Farms, but actually the idea is not Foster Farms in the second part of this. The idea is that the products are dangerous to those who buy from them. You also mentioned that up here, and I felt then, but didn't mention it yet, that this was an unspecified claim, claim that you didn't specifically defend or support or explain, which is that the conditions aren't just bad for the animals, they're also bad for people. I would make a separate paragraph at the end of these 2 examples that talk about how I would actually just hit enter right here. Unsanitary conditions of large factory farms can be dangerous for those. That say, for example, in 2013 at least, blah, 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 and then give some other evidence to support the idea that factory farm conditions are bad for consumers. You're kind of hedging your bets and saying basically, yeah, some people won't give a crap about the animals, but they might care about their health, their children's health, their friends' health. Whether or not you think that's a good way to feel, it is an argument that you're employing, and I think give me more evidence about the fact that animal welfare is tied to human welfare, especially because you've mentioned it twice. I would probably be more, I would include a more explicit transition where where you talk about in 2012, where you point out the fact that some examples can illustrate the larger problem. However, I'm actually going to recommend that you add another paragraph, and I'll come back to that because before I recommend it, I want to make sure you don't say it somewhere else and maybe it's just a movement thing. Very strong paragraph about Smithfield Foods, strong paragraph about Foster Farms. Break this out and actually give me a full paragraph explaining the risks to humans. William Patterson is a large university that takes pride over the community that it has here. We take civic engagement and recycling seriously and provide our side. I'm sorry, you wrote it correctly. I read it wrong. And pride ourselves over the diversity of this school, which is why this university should take action in knowing that their food products come from and ensuring the utmost safety for food animals. I think all of these sentences could be trimmed down a little bit wording-wise in your final edits, but the content is strong. This university should be a school that supports animal welfare. How can this be achieved? One possible way can be supporting groups that make it their mission to keep their facilities and practices up to standards, like having pasture-raised animals. Good. I think maybe this should be its own paragraph, starting with this, and I would start a new paragraph with just this. I would probably get rid of the how can this be achieved. Just keep this, trim it down, make it just like a quick 2-sentence transitional paragraph, and then go to this, which will connect with the next, because I don't like you introducing an idea and then not explaining it, even though I know you're going to explain it later. Within New Jersey, there are many such farms that offer ethical and humane services, like Aspen Ridge Farm, a company which sells their chicken, pork, lamb, roast veal, and eggs on their farm. William Patterson University can also buy from Bon Appetit Management Company, who took many steps to ensure the well-being of their animals and are clarified to their consumers about the steps they take for the ethical housing of pigs. Transitioning to a company like Bon Appetit should not be costly. Their company uses group housing, which is more ethical and which is a more ethical and much cheaper way to keep pigs compared to the gestation crates that create so many problems. I would use the phrase gestation crates up here. I know that they're called gestation crates because I've read your other material. But unless I missed it, which I could have because I forget very easily, I'm not very smart, you don't mention gestation crates up here. So this reference is a reference that only you get. It's like an insider reference. That being said, it should be relatively easy and inexpensive to transition to this kind of system. If the school were to receive its meat from a private farm, the cost could be of no more importance to keep the entire body of students here at William Patterson safe from contaminated foods and to maintain this school an ally to make this school an ally of animal advocates. Good. Conclusion is clear, sums it up. I think this is a strong recommendation when paired with all this. You might give a little bit more detail here, if possible, but I don't think it's unclear. I would definitely, this is the paragraph I said you should add, I would definitely add a paragraph here, right before in 2012, where you give an overview of the inhumane practices in factory farming. As far as I know, from your draft, there are two bad actors, Smithfield Foods and Foster Farms. This is not a systemic problem. This is two isolated cases. If you start with one or more paragraphs, I would actually like to see maybe 1, 2, or 3 paragraphs right here, where you give an overview of the problems, the worst problems or the most significant problems in ethical food sourcing. Each of those paragraphs should have a claim where you say something like, one major problem associated with factory farms is blank. Another major problem, or, factory farms are also use XYZ practice or engage in this particular problem. Then these 2 paragraphs here, Smithfield Farms and Foster Farms, they become examples of a larger problem. You're saying there's a big problem that affects our food supply chains overall, and that big problem is symbolically represented in these 2 discrete representative examples. As a result of that and our very serious civic responsibility as a community, we need to take action. Here's the action we can take. I think that would help you to develop this draft, which is very good, but could use a little more development. So start with a hook. Break the intro into 2 paragraphs, one about farming in general, one about Willie P. Give me 1 to 3 paragraphs of an overview of the major problems in factory farming. Explain or transition to these 2 excellent examples. Then expand this into a short paragraph where you talk about the risks to humans, which is a point you've made but not sufficiently well supported outside of this one anecdote. Then use this as a little transitional paragraph. And finally, give me a fully detailed explanation of what we can do on campus. It's a very strong first draft, Nicole. This is excellent work. Please submit the final version of this on or before December 20th. Please submit it both to Google Classroom's Project 3 final draft post and to your individual website. I very much hope that I'm going to see you tomorrow because I haven't gotten a chance to see you this week. On the off chance that I don't see you tomorrow, look for an important email in your email inbox tomorrow afternoon about the last bits of the semester, and be sure to read that fully. You've done fantastic work the whole semester. I'm extremely happy with this first draft. I really look forward to your final portfolio, Nicole. Thank you.